Justice Bolkachua of the Appeals Court, who is also the head of the Presidential Elections Petitions Tribunal, has put a gag order on the proceedings of the Elections Tribunal. And of course, that means you can't talk about the proceedings of court. That's for us, the media, the parties, and all the people involved. A lot of people are questioning that, considering that this is a very high-profile case. Some people will say this is the process of democracy, and some would like to know and analyze what is going on. Interestingly, that is forming the topic of our conversation right here on Root Cause. My name is Gloria Oji Emodi.
We are witnesses to what has been happening in high-profile cases, where such cases are being openly discussed and publicly debated upon, with different and divergent opinions being given or proffered by contenders and interested persons in both the social, print and electronic media before the tribunal or court concludes the hearing and determination on such election petition disputes. More often than not, such debates have the tendencies to mislead the unsuspecting public and even parties in the election petition trial disputes. We pray that this time would be an exception for the benefit of our nation. We don't expect counsels to any of the parties to hide the polity after any sitting by making a public analysis in the media as to what transpired in court. These proceedings should be treated as with any other low-profile case, where proceedings in court are not discussed publicly until a decision is pronounced by the court. This admonition is also extended to the parties, their respective counsels, and the members of the press. We, on our part, will make relevant information available as at when due. Any breach will not be condoned, and we will not hesitate in taking necessary action against such offenders.
And to have this conversation right here in the studio, I have a colleague, a journalist, Idowu Isamotu. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And we have our legal analyst in the house, Kola Alakbini. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Straight up, Kola. Why the gag order? I mean, a lot of people will look at this. I'm not just talking about Nigerians. Internationally, there's a lot of, spotlight on these proceedings. And some people would like to have a lot of information about it. Why the gag order?
When you say gagging order, I mean, is it unusual for judges to not want cameras in their courts, especially in Nigerian courts? It's not unusual. It's our system. We operate an offshoot of the colonial system, the British style of jurisprudence. And cameras are not allowed in courts. It's not America. It's not Judge Judy we're talking about here, or any of these American style shows.
Well, some people would actually disagree and say this is a tribunal, first of all. And a lot of people would say because for some people this is setting a precedent in our democratic process. People want to know, people want to understand, even if it's not just a case of having camera in court. The order basically says you can't discuss the proceedings.
Because we're basically sensational people. That's the problem. You want to equate what goes on to the court to what you see at a street vendor, at the street corners, where you have like 100 people, 200 in the morning, just talking, in a cacophony of voices. That's not what the law is about.
But those are the questions begging for answer. So why the secrecy? Why should we make tribunal this thing that actually concerns all Nigerians during the electioneering process? Why should we make it secret?
When you say secret, I have a few questions for you.
You want to ask?
Yes,
okay.
So that we can
get
shed
this
more
in
light.
Context, sorry.
When you say secret, is there a judge in the courtroom? Is there?
Of course there were 5 justices.
Were there counsels in the courtroom?
Of course.
Was the petitioner there?
The petitioner and the respondents, yes.
Were there their supporters, their people there? So
yes.
What also was secret about it?
The secrecy, listen, the idea is that you can't talk about
Let me give you an example,
the
Gloria.
processes.
I think it was 2003 or so, a couple of years back. I was law editor of a newspaper, and we had to cover the trial of Deputy Governor of Osun State, former Deputy Governor of Osun State, Iyola Omishore. That was over the trial of, over the death of the Attorney General. And you would see the writing style of a lawyer who is a journalist and what he is reporting is very different.
You're trying to say that you wrote better than all the other ones
We
because you
understood
were...
the law better and we knew what the judge was saying. But most of the
Well,
journalists...
you see, that
Hold
is
on, Gloria.
okay.
But you find out most of the other journalists who come, they're just looking for the catchy line that will hit the front cover because that's the only way they were earning their pay.
That is every story in the country.
And then you turn the law on its head. Let me give you an example of what happens. Oh, Omishore fails polygraph tests.
And did he or did he not fail the polygraph test?
But if you say someone fails the polygraph test and people are now analyzing at the street corner, oh, he failed the lie detector, oh, he this, oh, he that, how do you explain to the common man on the street that maybe in the submission of that evidence, it was thrown out of the court?
That is why, I'm
So
sorry.
do you
sorry.
you prejudice
No. With
not,
all due respect, I'll give you an example. Why do I have you sitting on my couch if I am able to report everything? That is why, even as a journalist,
are you able to go back to the common man on the street
Mr. Kola,
and break it down?
It is the common man that is watching you now.
Mr. Kola, you're actually right when you cited some examples that were the petitioners in the office and the courtroom, supporters and others were in the court. Fine, they were in the court. But do you know that this kind of small fraction cannot actually represent the large populace who are expecting something tangible from them? So they want to be informed.
But those are the people who actually vote.
The people that actually voted wanted to know where their issues are.
Do you know that Nigeria
and
has...
they can only be informed, I'm coming, they can only be informed through the media. For instance, now, we have an appeal court in Abuja, a case is being run in Abuja. So how do you want somebody who is in one village in Oyo State to know? The person can actually know through the media. If these things are not exposed to the media, such a person at the grassroots may not know what is happening.
And what happens when the person at the grassroots is being misinformed by the media?
I'm sorry, with all due respect.
How do you clear that?
I'm coming. That is why, I said it earlier, that fake news is flying around.
So it is simpler
What I was
easier
expecting
for the judiciary to make sure that the courtroom remains sacrosanct.
Listen, the case, you're making it sound like this thing is too secret, that Nigerians are too dumb, they will never understand the processes.
That's not what I said.
No, you're making it sound like they shouldn't even be educated. Okay, we don't know. Why can't we be educated?
Let's even put it this way.
But that's why we have this kind of show.
Let's put it this way.
Thank you. Now you're running back to the...
It does not make that you give us the exact conclusion. You will conclude on the issue. You are not concluding.
You can write an analysis of the judgment afterwards.
You can write your analysis without concluding.
Have you seen...
So you're saying with all due respect, Kola, that all of the things everything we need to talk about, we should wait until 180 days when the judgments, at least within that period when the judgments before we're able to talk about it.
There's so many things we can talk about.
Okay.
We can talk about the voting process. We can evaluate some of these things as we've always been doing. But now, there is what can we call it? A press statement?
A press statement.
From the court saying, do not talk
How
about...
does that affect the democratic process? Let's even get to that point.
Then change your democratic process or change the laws.
Okay. How?
You go to National Assembly and say we want to be able to talk about judgments. That's how to change the law.
I still reiterate what Adela said, that whatever we are doing today, posterity will definitely judge us. That we should try as much as possible not to gag the media, because our country may be painted in a black
Nigeria has
manner.
one of the most vibrant media in Africa. No one can extremely gag the media to the extreme, or
Anyway,
so we always find ways around commenting.
Yeah.
What we actually need is a responsible media. not the one that news are going to come out and people are going to start losing their lives because of what they heard on.
We are definitely, and that's why we work extremely hard to ensure
Exactly.
that we give the right kind of information. Thank you very much for a fasty conversation, Kola Lakmini. This is interesting, and of course, it's something to do. We, the media, we will continue to hunt for information, and hopefully, we will have more access to some of these information. Please give us your thoughts on what we have talked about right here on the comment section of the video. My name is Gloria Oje Emode, and you're watching Roots TV Nigeria.